Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals have been playing great and are the final team in the NFL that is unbeaten. But how have they done that, and how has Kyler Murray taken the next step as a player and went from a player with a lot of potential and promise in years 1 and 2 to being a legitimate MVP candidate through 6 weeks and currently having his team at the top of the NFL? Well, in today's video, we are going to break everything down regarding the 2021 Arizona Cardinals, so without further ado, let's begin. Now, taking a step back for a minute, when Kyler entered the league in 2019, there were a lot of expectations, both good and bad. Of course, people wanted to see how he would do, as everyone in the draft process compared Kyler to Mike Vick, as simply put, there was not a whole lot of players that he could compare to, and in a lot of ways, Kyler's game does resemble Mike Vick's. We remember Mike as the electric runner in his Atlanta days, but Kyler in 2021 has, in a sense, revamped himself and is playing a lot like the Eagles' Mike Vick, where he became a pocket passer and would run really only when needed to. Now, Vick had his best year with Philly in 2010 when he had, for the time period, a very efficient stat line of a 21-6 TD to INT ratio, and by the way, the best season of Vick's career statement was speaking from a passing standpoint, not as a complete player, although the Eagles were very good when he played that year. Anyways, Vick completed passes in 2010 at the most efficient rate in his career and had 9 rushing touchdowns, which was also a career high. And in a lot of ways, Kyler is on pace to do almost the exact same thing, except 11 years later, offensive numbers are way up, so Kyler's numbers compared to Vick's 2010 are going to be those or similar to those, but on steroids. Kyler has not been running the football as much as he was in 2020, but when he does, he is pretty selective and runs with a purpose, minus the San Francisco game, who very much bottled him up as he had 7 attempts for 1 yard. But with Kyler in 2021, like with the 2010 Vick season, he has been extremely efficient and has had only 1 game with a passer rating below 100, which was against, of all teams, the Jags, and the Cardinals still won the game by double digits. So even what could be described as Kyler's worst game of 2021, the rest of the Cardinals team stepped up and won the dreaded Western team to Eastern time zone game. The Arizona Cardinals are 4th in the NFL in percentage of drives ending in an offensive score, behind only the Bills, Cowboys, and Chiefs, and as we know, all of those offenses are elite and put up nearly 30 points or more every single week. However, only the Cardinals and Bills are in the top 7 of offenses that turn the ball over least, as the Cardinals rank tied for 6th in the NFL and the Bills rank tied for 4th, and a lot of that has to do with the ball security, as Kyler has not been making bad decisions and is playing what will probably end up being the best football of his career. Now, if Kyler can somehow one-up this 2021 season he's having, then by all means, Kyler, go for it, but these next few stats I'm going to share are absurd. Kyler leads the NFL in percentage of throws that are on target, and according to Pro Football References, this excludes spikes and throwaways, and Kyler is on target 85.2% of the time. For comparison, Lamar Jackson ranks 7th with 80.1%, Mahomes is a little lower with 79.1%, Tom Brady is at 76.4%, and Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to throw in a joke here, you guys, so laugh if you will, the owner of the Bears, is at 73.1%. So Kyler Murray is on target 12% more of the time than Aaron Rodgers, who is a 3-time league MVP. Now, what's also crazy about Kyler's raw passing stats are he has thrown the ball away 12 times and leads the league in both, hear me out on this one, throwaways and completion percentage, despite 6% of his throws being passes that are thrown away. Now, admittedly, I don't know how often a quarterback has led the NFL in passes being thrown away while simultaneously leading the league in completion percentage, but I can't imagine it's a lot if it's been done really ever. And by the way, if you are wondering, Kyler is currently completing his passes at a 73.8% rate, and if you take the throwaways away from that, then it jumps up to nearly 79%. The efficiency we've seen from Kyler in 2021 compared to the first 2 years of his career is on a whole nother level, as entering 2020, there were a lot of expectations for Kyler to step up and be the guy, and lead the Cardinals to what was expected to be a relatively deep postseason run. Now, this was widely expected because of the Mahomes 2018 second season MVP, the 5,050-yard Mahomes, and Lamar's 2019 second season MVP, and while Kyler did make some jumps in his game from 2019 to 2020, this third-year leap he is currently on is what was in some ways what people expected last year. But not surprisingly, in the division that they're in, combined with a COVID year, the Cardinals did not make the playoffs despite nearly being the 7th seed. And what also benefits the Cardinals and Kyler specifically is how well they spread the ball around. Not surprisingly, DeAndre Hopkins leads the team in targets, as we all know what type of player he is, as he has 4 100 reception seasons to his name, over 10,000 career receiving yards, and I would be shocked if he is not an NFL Hall of Famer at some point in time. But him, Christian Kirk, and Chase Edmonds all have 26 catches through week 6. Exactly 26, and that has to drive opposing defenses crazy, not knowing where the football is going at any point, and in a sense, this style of offense or this style of pass selection is similar to basketball where any player could take the game-winning shot. Rondale Moore is 4th in receptions with 24, meaning only 2 less than the other guys, and AJ Green with 21 is 5th, so 5 less than the trio, so the football when they're passing can truly go anywhere, anytime. In 2021, this is not a Kyler to DeAndre show where he's going to have 120 catches, 1,600 yards, and 15 touchdowns, while the number 2 receiver has 45 catches for 550 yards, etc. Full disclosure, I do expect DeAndre to lead the team in everything by season's end, as I do not expect Christian Kirk to finish with the same amount of receptions and just 9 less receiving yards than him, as DeAndre will soon enough, and possibly even this week against his former team, the Houston Texans, have a very DeAndre Hopkins game where he would have 7 catches for 130 yards and a score or something wild like this. But the similarity and the symmetry we have in these receiving numbers through 6 weeks is absurd and unheard of. Not to mention, it drives opposing defensive coordinators crazy because there are 5 players that have between 28 and 38 targets on the Cardinals, so it's a who's who out there, and it's throwing a dart at a board and saying, alright gentlemen, and this is speaking from the opposing defensive coordinator standpoint, but saying, alright gentlemen, who are we going to focus on today aside from DeAndre Hopkins? What player are we going to try and take away, only for Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury to exploit the player that they do not choose and get that player involved and end up having the Cardinals win the football game? For as good as he has been, one thing Kyler will have to work on as the season progresses is ball security, as he has 6 fumbles through 6 games, and for as good as he has been as a passer, the worst case scenario could most definitely come true for the Cardinals in any of the upcoming games. They play good all game, and then at the end, Kyler fumbles the football, and the Cardinals lose before getting a chance to get the football back. Now, Kyler is currently 10th in rushing yards for quarterbacks, so while we hear the narrative, and a lazy and stupid one at that, when people say, oh, Lamar Jackson, the running back, Kyler simply does not run the football that much. He averages a little over 6 per game and has just 116 yards on the ground this year. Of course, he is good for a spectacular play here and there where he runs around for 25 yards in the backfield, but for the most part, he has been genuinely having a career year passing the football. They have 5 games left until their bye, and I would imagine they'll win this week against Houston, but home against Green Bay, then at San Francisco will not be easy, and they could very easily be 8-1 through 9 games. Then Carolina and Seattle before the bye, so who knows how they will do down the stretch. I do know at this point in time, Kyler and company have been playing lights-out football, and aside from one game where they gave out 33 points to the Vikings, this is a defense that has given up 20 points just once, and that was to Matt Stafford's Rams, so that certainly is not a bad team either. By the way, this is a complete joke, but Matt Stafford and the Rams lost by 17 to the to the Cardinals, and the Jags lost by 12. So who's really a better team there? Anyways, the Cardinals have taken the league by storm in 2021 and have both the Green Bay Packers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers on their tail, and I cannot wait to see how this all plays out. So with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, now is the time I ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean the world. Also, let me know what you think in the comments, and until next time, I really hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great day.